conception of nirvana. But you're no longer experiencing any suffering because you have given up your individuality and you're merged into some state, basically like sleep in material nature, during material nature's unmanifest stage. So the Mayavadi philosophy is a little superior to that. It is aiming at the effulgence emanating from Krishna's body, but they claim that there's nothing beyond that, and they have to distort the entire philosophy of the Vedas in order to establish that. So they claim that in order to achieve that state, which is a neutral state also, because there's no action, there's no thought, there's just an experience of eternity, one must reject also Krishna, the person. So therefore the Mayavadis, on the plea of their trying to attain the state of transcendental state, of merging into the Brahman effulgence, they commit the worst offenses or insults of Krishna. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada's pranam mantra specifically says that he came to the West to defeat the impersonalism and voidism philosophies. So now we come to his guru. His guru has four. Now Prabhupada has two pranam mantras. His guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura, has four. The first one says, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutali Shrimati Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Iti Namini. That is very similar to Prabhupada's first mantra. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace, Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at His lotus feet. Then his second pranam mantra, or offer of respect to him and glorification of, is Shri Varsavanami Devi Dayitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vigyana Dayane Prabhave Namaha. This mantra says, I offer my respectful obeisances to Shri Varsabhanavi Devi Dayita Dasa, another name of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, who is favored by Srimati Radharani, and who is the ocean of transcendental mercy and a deliverer of the science of Krishna. So, Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura, as I said, is an exceptional person. He's not in any way ordinary in any way, and he's a transcendental personality, and he's favored by Srimati Radharani, who is the ocean of transcendental mercy. So Radharani is Krishna's eternal consort. She's the external manifestation of Krishna's internal potency, Hiladini potency of love and devotion. So if she favors someone, that means that person is extremely exalted. And because of that favoring, Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura was able to deliver to the whole world the science of Krishna consciousness. Then the second mantra says, Madhur Ujvala Premadya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gora Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namastate. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, the Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura, the personified energy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, who deliver devotional service enriched with conjugal love of Shri Radha and Krishna, coming exactly in the line of revelation of Srila Rupa Goswami. So now this is a very, very powerful mantra glorifying Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura. It reveals exactly who he is. He is the personified energy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. Now, first of all, who is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He is the combined incarnation of Radha and Krishna. So if it says that he's the personified energy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, again it's referring to Radharani, bolstered by Krishna himself. And what is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati? What was his purpose? It was to deliver devotional service enriched with conjugal love. Now this is the defining difference between Mayavad or impersonalist philosophy and the personalist philosophy of the Vaishnavas. There is no possibility following the Mayavadi philosophy as espoused by Sankaracharya and his disciples There's no possibility of achieving the platform of pure devotional service enriched with the conjugal love of Shri Radha and Krishna. So we see the divine couple Radha and Krishna here. They're extremely beautiful, they're very peaceful, and their relationship is of the highest and purest form of love. Love, in that state of purity, is the highest form of ecstatic, let's say, ecstatic nature. That ecstatic nature is the eternal nature in the spiritual world. And there is no hint of lust, anger, greed, envy, madness, or illusion. And it's such a pure thing that most people cannot even imagine it. Because one must have a pure heart to be able to begin to contemplate such a thing and enter into the Lord's eternal pastime where this is going on eternally. So Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Radha and Krishna, was able to deliver this devotion, this quality of devotional service enriched with the conjugal love of Shri Radha and Krishna, coming exactly in the line of revelation of Srila Rupa Goswami. Now, Rupa Goswami wrote the book Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, or the Nectar of Devotion, which is the law book of Krishna consciousness. It explains every principle that we follow in detail. And it's all about how to raise one's consciousness from material consciousness to pure spiritual consciousness, in which one can actually see and participate in Krishna's transcendental pastimes and attain a state of liberation even in this world. So we're talking about very elevated consciousness, the most elevated consciousness, and in order to be able to preach that throughout the world, Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura completely surrendered to his guru, Gaurkishore Das Babaji, his divine grace, and the entire Vaishnava Acharya line, especially going through the Goswamis of Vrindavan, who were the direct disciples of Lord Chaitanya, and amongst them Srila Rupa Goswami, who wrote this absolutely amazing book that outlines all the fundamental principles of Krishna consciousness, called the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, or Nectar of Devotion. And then his fourth and final pranam mantra says, Namaste Guruvani Shimurtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudapa Apasiddhanta Dvantaharine. I offer my respectful Namaste Guruvani. Yes. I offer my respectful obeisance unto you, meaning Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura, Srila Prabhupada, who are the personified teachings of Lord Chaitanya. You are the deliverer of the fallen souls. You do not tolerate any statement against the teachings of devotional service enunciated by Srila Rupa Goswami. So in that, again, he's mentioning, there's a mention of Rupa Goswami in his third and fourth pranam mantras, because Rupa Goswami established the foundational practice, proper practice of Krishna consciousness. He is the person who heard from Lord Chaitanya 10 days straight, and Lord Chaitanya explained to him how to write this book, what to include in it, and the right understandings, so that there's no ambiguity about the science of how to follow Krishna consciousness correctly. And it's a science. If there's any scientific book that exists in the world, it's the Nectar of Devotion. It's the most scientific book. What does it mean? What do we mean by science? It means that the truth that is verifiable by everyone. It's not that it's a truth that's verifiable in these specific parameters. Outside of these parameters, it falls apart. It is verifiable by everyone in every situation. Therefore, every step toward the self-realization of Krishna, Radha and Krishna, and love of Krishna is detailed in exactitude in this book called The Nectar of Devotion. So it is the law book of Krishna consciousness, as Srila Prabhupada describes it. And Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura is glorified as the personified teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And it says, you are the deliverer of the fallen souls. What is the purpose of Krishna's teaching? And when he spoke to Bhagavad Gita, is to deliver people from the throes of birth, death, old age, and disease to the spiritual world where there's no birth, death, old age, and disease. There's eternal life, eternal individuality, and eternal relationship between you and and Krishna and all the residents of Vrindavana, or the spiritual world. So we're talking about very serious subject matter of how to elevate ourselves by the help of these transcendental personalities, such as Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura, Rupa Goswami, Srila Prabhupada, from the cycle of birth and death to eternal life in the spiritual world. Okay, so these are his pranam mantras. We could speak more about them, but there are some other things I wanted to talk about tonight. And one thing is that Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura also was able to write a synthesis of the teachings of the 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas. And in doing so, he defeated utterly the misrepresentations of the impersonalists and the voidists. Impersonalists meaning the followers of Sankaracharya, and the voidists, the followers of Buddha. Although Buddha is an incarnation of Krishna, but he came at a specific time when the Vedas had been misappropriated, misrepresented, and wrongly followed in such a way that he rejected the Vedas in order to stop people from wrongly following them. And he explained a type of philosophy in which an individual can improve themselves morally, but they do not attain pure love of God. So it was a temporary step to stop the false following and to be a transition back to the proper following. And there was a period of about 1,000 years where Buddhism was prominent and dominant in India. And then Buddha had predicted that it would be valid for 1,000 years, and effectively so. And then it fell apart, and almost all the Buddhists departed from India. And Sankaracharya came and taught another transitional philosophy called impersonalism, but he upped the goal from the unmanifest state of nature as the final goal in Buddhism to the impersonal, merging into the impersonal effulgence of Krishna, which is a spiritual state. But his followers perverted his teaching, because Sankaracharya at the end of his life said, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam Mudamate, give up all your philosophical speculations and word jugglery, and just surrender to Krishna, or also known as Govinda, and worship him. Well, his followers didn't follow that ultimate instruction that he gave, and they went deeper into word jugglery and misrepresentation of the Vedic knowledge, and right up to the point where they said, in order to achieve the merging into the eternal Brahmajyoti, one must reject Krishna. They went so far as to say that Krishna is the sum total of tamasa buddhi, intelligence and ignorance, which is an extreme insult of the Lord. So they misrepresented Sankaracharya. Sankaracharya's what he did, he was ordered to do it by Lord Narayana as a second step of transition from Buddhism, which was the first step of transition from the misfollowing of the Vedas. So then After Sankaracharya, about 500 years later, came Ramanujacharya and then Madhvacharya, and they completed the cycle. They gave the correct understanding of the Vedas, and then Lord Chaitanya, completely finished the process. And then Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura, he did an amazing thing. He synthesized the 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas. Sampradayas means disciplic successions. There are 4 bona fide disciplic successions coming from Krishna, which are the Sri Sampradaya, they are followers, they worship Lakshmi Narayana and different Vishnu forms, which are all expansions of Krishna. And then the Kumar Sampradaya and the Rudra Sampradaya, and then the Sampradaya or the disciplic succession that we follow is called the Brahma Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. So he synthesized them in such a way to develop what's called the Digdrisha philosophy. What is the Digdrisha Sampada philosophy that synthesizes the 4 Vaishnava disciplic successions? Well, first of all, the 4 Vaishnava disciplic successions all believe that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's why they're called Vaishnavas, worshippers of Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna. Then, but they each have a slightly different, let's say, understanding of the relationship with Krishna. But they all accept that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So now Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura comes along and synthesizes the 4 understandings in a brilliant way called Digdrisha. Digdrisha means, first of all, the understanding is that people that are in the material world have voluntarily chosen to separate themselves from Krishna. We were all originally in the spiritual world, but we have at any point limited free will. Our limited free will is limited to 2 choices. Either we can follow Krishna's instructions or we can reject Krishna's instructions. If we reject Krishna's instructions out of envy, we fall down from the spiritual world and we put into the material world, which is called Martya Loka, the world of death. There's no death in the spiritual world, but in the material world, one experiences death, even though the soul is eternal, but because of developing a false ego, of identifying with the material body, and the material body is subject to birth, old age, disease, and death. We also experience that, although our soul is eternal. It's like dumbing down a person so much that they suffer the same thing that their body is experiencing because they identify with the body. So such a person is called a bogi. A bogi is a person who forgets about the eternal joy of being in the spiritual world and attempts to enjoy in the material world, which is a place of temporary and ephemeral experiences. Now, in other words, everything is born, everything stays for some time, everything everything can grow, and then it's maintained, and then it gives off byproducts, and then it dwindles, and then it dies. So everything that's living goes through those 6 stages. Everything that is not living, all matter also takes different forms, and then those forms deteriorate, and they go back to the original elements of matter. So this constant fluctuation in material nature is bewildering to people, because things grow, and then they deteriorate, and then they disappear. So a bogi is a person who attempts to enjoy this world of ephemerality, of temporality, and he or she considers himself the seer. It's called drishta. And everything else, including the representation of Krishna, or Krishna as a deity, including God. Everything else is the seen, or drishya. He's the seer, drasta, and everything he sees is drishya. And his object of vision is called darshana. So now we have these three principles: drasta, drishya, and darshana. Drasta, the seer; drishya, the seen; and the object of vision is darshana. So, in the material world, most people have, in fact, all people, due to birth, death, old age, and disease, have a bitter experience. And those people who want to renounce everything, the Mayavadis, the impersonalists, they deny this plurality of drasta, drishya, and darshana. Basically, it means the soul or the person is the seer. The senses are the instruments for seeing, and or the process of perception, and then there's the objects that we see. There's three things. So the people who are embittered by the experience of material life, they want to eliminate this, and therefore they regard these things as one. There's only one thing. There's no objects. There's no process. There's no seer. There's just some process of seeing. So they eliminate individuality in order to merge into the impersonal light emanating from the body of Krishna. But the devotees are taught to have proper vision. What is proper vision? That is that Krishna is the actual seer. Because the person who sees is the enjoyer. Like if you see a new Apple 8 cell phone, right, then you want to buy it and enjoy it, right? So you're the seer. But if we learn that we're not the real seer, God is the seer, and we are the seen, therefore we should change our view of life from trying to exploit things for our own sense gratification to acting in such a way that God will be pleased with us. You see? As long as we consider ourselves the seer, we play the role of an enjoyer. And whatever we see, we want to enjoy it. We want to possess it and enjoy it, dominate it and enjoy it. But actually, see, in the same way, people come to the temple, they think they're coming to the temple to have darshan of the deities. That is actually a mistake. We come to the temple so that Krishna can see us. And if we act properly, we please the Lord. And if we don't act properly, we don't please the Lord. But we're coming to be pleased by seeing the Lord as if He's the object of our enjoyment. Actually, that is the material egotistical aspect of a person's psyche or mind. We are actually the object to be enjoyed by the Lord. You see. So the objectification of God takes place by not understanding that we are the seen and falsely pretending that we are the seer. See? So it's very difficult for people to overcome this because we're taught in material education, we're taught by reading different books, by misrepresentations of philosophy, that we are the enjoyer, that the material world was created for an enjoyer. One time I was speaking to a priest, and he summarized his understanding of Christianity. He said, unless you enjoy this world, you will not be able to enjoy the spiritual world. So he completely misunderstands Christianity. And he's a priest. He's preaching Christianity, but his philosophy was you have to enjoy this world. In other words, you have to enjoy eating, drinking, smoking, sex, making money, having properties, all these things. and then you'll be able to enjoy the spiritual world. So that is the exact opposite of what the truth is. That this material world is actually a prison house where the prisoners, we are the prisoners, all living entities are prisoners, we're given a chance to rehabilitate ourselves. That's the purpose of a prison. When people are convicted and go to prison, the hope is that they will be rehabilitated in the prison from their criminal mentality that gets them into trouble in the first place. And if they are rehabilitated, they are released back into normal society. And if they refuse to be rehabilitated, they stay in prison for the rest of their life. And even in prison, if they don't follow the rules, they can end up in solitary confinement. So, following the rules of society is necessary to live in society. Following the rules of Dharma is necessary if one wants to avoid unnecessary suffering. Suffering is caused by not following the rules. Now, what are the rules? There's two sets of rules. One set of rules are the rules of society. The other set of rules are the rules given by Krishna, which is called Dharma. Now, Dharma means you follow rules. But then there's Sanatan Dharma, which means you follow the eternal rules of spiritual life. Then you are liberated from the cycle of birth and death. People don't understand this. They think there's only maybe one set of rules, which they don't follow that well anyway. But there are two sets of rules that we have to follow. There are rules given by God and the rules given by mundane society. So in order to follow correctly the rules given by God, we have to understand that we are the seen, we are not the seer. And we come to the temple so that Krishna can see us and we can understand that our position is to be the eternal servant of God, not to come and enjoy. So the people who come to the temple as the seer, they don't know how to pray to God. They come and they say, please, my son has to pass the SAT test, please let him pass the test. And then they ask a priest, please do a puja, a ritual performance so that my son can pass the SAT test. That is not spiritual life. That is business. A business is an exchange that you make. You sell something, you receive some money for it, or you offer something, or you buy something and you give some money for it. That is an exchange, a business dealing. But coming to the temple with the proper understanding that I am the seen, I'm not the seer, then one comes to prostrate themselves before Krishna and to glorify the Lord. That's a prayer. Glorification of the Lord is a prayer. Asking the Lord for something is not a prayer, it's a business transaction. Most people don't understand this. Therefore, when you do a business transaction with God, you stay in the material world. Because you can get what you want by asking for it, but only up to the level of your karma. You can't get more than that. Your karma that you performed in the previous life. But you can get certain positive things by praying for it. But in order to enjoy those results, you have to take birth again in the material world. So you're not liberated from the cycle of birth and death by that type of praying and that type of behavior and that type of seeing things. And those gurus who teach you to think like that they have a mantra for anything you want, they're not actually gurus. They're misleading people by telling them that you can get your material desires by coming to the temple and paying a priest to do a ritual performance for you. They're actually misleading people, and they're keeping people in the cycle of birth and death by doing that. However, Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura defeated that whole misrepresentation by explaining the difference between the seer and the seen. If we consider ourselves the seer, then we consider ourselves the enjoyer and dominator of the material world. That will keep us in the material world. If we accept that we are the seen, that God is the enjoyer, and we are the object by which God can receive pleasure by our service and our love, that changes our whole consciousness. And it is the beginning of major steps toward liberation from the cycle of birth and death. Okay, so by thinking oneself the enjoyer under the influence of the false ego, it'll result in misfortune. In other words, people who want to enjoy the material world, they do not understand the laws of nature. People understand there's gravity. What goes up will come down. They don't understand that if you try for material pleasure in the material world, it's always accompanied by misery. That is a law of nature. Why is it? It's to teach us that we're wanting the wrong thing. Instead of trying to exploit things for our own selfish pleasure, we should offer things that Krishna accepts for his pleasure. And if Krishna is pleased, we are part and parcel of the Lord, Mamaya Vamsa, Jiva Loka, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, we will also be pleased because we're part and parcel of God. It's just like the finger is part and parcel of the body. If the finger or the hand delivers food to the mouth and the mouth delivers food to the stomach, then the whole body is satisfied. If the hand says, I'm not going to do that anymore, why should I feed the stomach? I'm going to eat it myself. No one is satisfied. The hand can't satisfy itself, nor can it satisfy the body by refusing to deliver the food to the stomach. So in the same way, if we cooperate with Krishna, understanding that we are the object of enjoyment rather than the seer, then we become free of all miseries and anxieties in life. So this is the change of consciousness that takes place. And Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura, Srila Prabhupada's guru, very, very carefully explained this and defeated the Mayavadi philosophy, the impersonalist philosophy, and the Voidist philosophy, or the Buddhist philosophy. So, but thinking himself the enjoyer under the influence of the false ego will result only in misfortune. It's not fitting that an individual soul see the world as the object of his own enjoyment. Rejecting that outlook and instead seeing the world as the object of the Lord's enjoyment, seeing it as Krishna's world, or Gokula, is the jiva's good fortune, is the individual soul's good fortune, and this satisfies. And he will work to satisfy Krishna's senses. Krishna has senses, we see. He has eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, mind. He has all those things. So therefore, if we work to please Krishna, then we'll be satisfied because we are part and parcel of Krishna. Just like the finger is part and parcel of the body. So the vision of a demon, such as Hiranyakashipu, was that he was the seer. And when he asked his son, he said, look, I'm trying to kill you, but for some mysterious reason I'm not able to kill you. So I'm going to kill your God. So where is your God? So Prahlad Maharaj's son said, he tried to kill his son in many different ways, but Krishna protected the boy, which we should learn from that if we surrender to Krishna, he promises to protect his devotee. Konteya pratijanihi nami bhakta pranasyati. No one can kill the lamb protected by God, and no one can save the lamb that God wants to kill. Raki Krishna Maraki, Mare Krishna Rakiki. So therefore, we should surrender to Krishna, and the Lord will protect us, as he did Prahlad Maharaj. So Prahlad answered his father. He said, dear father, he said, Krishna, my Lord, is everywhere. He said, oh, he's everywhere? Well, they were in the palace of Hiranyakashipu, and he had a gigantic palace with hundreds, maybe thousands of pillars. So he was next to one pillar. So is he in this pillar? Meaning, is he in my pillar, in my house? And Prahlad Maharaj said, yes. So what did Hiranyakashipu do? He wanted to observe the existence of Krishna, or God. He wanted to measure God, in a sense. And thinking himself the enjoyer, the seer, and perceiving his son Prahlad as his son, and who should be an object for his enjoyment, not an object for, not someone to please Krishna. That's why he wanted to kill his son, because he hated Krishna, and his son turned out to be a pure devotee of Krishna. So therefore, seeing incorrectly like that, he took his sword and chopped the pillar in half, and lo and behold, out comes this incredible creature, half lion, half man, called Nrsingadev, a special incarnation of Krishna, specifically to save his son Prahlad. And what did Nrsingadev do? He grabbed Hiranyakashipu just like a spider, or just like a bear will grab a fly, and put him on his lap and ripped apart his stomach, pulled out his intestines and put it on his neck like a garland. In other words, basically, he killed Hiranyakashipu in a horrible way, ripping apart, because as a lion he had these tremendous paws with very sharp, long nails. And every day after every arti we chant Tavakara Kamala Bare Nakam Adbhuta Shingam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanabringham Keshavajita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadesha Hare. We glorify the nails on the paws of Nrsingadev that protected devotees like he protected Prahlad Maharaj. So, with Krishna manifested his inconceivable powers. It's called Achintya Shakti. God has inconceivable powers. In other words, we have some power, and every living entity has a certain measure of Achintya Shakti. Just like birds can fly through the sky, that's Achintya Shakti, and moles can dig tunnels in the ground. That's another Achintya Shakti, right? And we can make blood. No scientist has found out a way to make blood yet. Blood is an amazing, and if anybody here is smart enough to produce blood in a factory, you'll become the richest person in the world. Right? It's the most, let's say, special ingredient, especially in time of war. And there's wars going on everywhere, so everybody needs blood. If you can produce blood, you'll become, but no one has ever been able to do it. But you make blood. Every human being makes about half a quart of blood a week. That's what keeps us alive, right? And it's an amazing substance because it permits the body, by circulating in the body, it keeps the body healthy, especially if it carries oxygen, and it's the life-giving principle of the body. Okay, so everybody has some measure of Achintya Shakti. Krishna has it completely. He has it inconceivably. And one manifestation was that he came out of the pillar, and there were thousands of pillars in Hiranyakashipu's palace, but this proves that God, or Krishna, is present in every atom of the universe as Paramatma. And he can manifest himself at his own will. And he can even manifest himself in this incredible incarnation of a half lion, half man. And he saved his devotee Prahlad. So we should also remember that there are three things that are important. Number one, we should listen to the yearning of our heart. For example, there are certain times of the year like Diwali or Christmas, Ram Navami, when people come together or families come together. Sometimes there are family reunions when people come from India, or from Hong Kong, from the West Coast, from the East Coast. They all come together and they meet and they have a great time. They're all family members. They all love each other. And during that short period of a family reunion, near the end of the family reunion, a certain yearning comes in the heart. Oh my God, this might be the last time that I'll see my auntie. She's going to go way back to India, I haven't seen her already for 5 years. It's the first time in 5 years, and she's already old. Maybe I might not see her again. And the other thing is, we're having such a good time together. It brings back my childhood when we were together. And now we're all separated. One brother is here, one sister is there, one uncle is here, my auntie is there. I wish this could go on. That's the yearning of the heart. The heart is the seat of the soul and the super soul, Krishna. And it yearns for its natural nature or state, which is eternity, Sat, and Chit, full of knowledge, and Ananda, full of bliss. So when we're feeling this happiness with our family, we want that to be perpetuated. We don't want to see any of our members of the family get old, get sick, and die, right? So that's a certain yearning. That's the indication that we have an eternal soul. If we were just this body, and the body is temporary, we wouldn't have feelings like that, right? Just like you have to, like, for example, today, the Japanese, the Chinese, and so forth, they're all producing robots. What is a robot? Well, they're trying to imitate a human being. Now, did the robot just happen by itself, by nature? No. You had to bring together a whole bunch of intelligent scientists and IT people and designers, etc., and they designed this robot, and then you have to bring together the manufacturers, all the raw materials. It's a complicated process, and the robot is a very imperfect representation of a human being, you see. Now, when we talk about a human being, the same scientists claim that human beings happen by accident. You see? The robot doesn't happen by accident, but they claim that the human being, that the robot is an imperfect imitation of, they claim the robot happened by accident. And they write big books about how creation happened by accident, there's no God. So you see, the most irrational people in this world are the scientists. The ones who are proliferating fairy tales are the scientists. It's not Walt Disney, it's not the religionists who say God created everything, it's the scientists. They're making money by creating myths and fairy tales that have no scientific basis to them. But yet when they do something, they claim it's science. And whatever they do, it's based on intelligence, it's based on design, by collaboration of sometimes hundreds and thousands of people, and it's all intelligence driven. But yet they think that this whole complicated universe, which is functioning perfectly and self-sufficient, it happened by accident. See? Okay, so it's good to read our heart, because our soul is present in the heart. That yearning for sustainable happiness is because our soul is eternal, and we have an eternal existence. Then secondly, the real goal of spiritual of life is to be able to speak the truth about who God is, the truth about who we are, the truth about what this material nature is, the truth about what is time, and the truth about what is our real purpose in life. That's the aim of human life. We can't be constantly speaking lies and misrepresentations. Otherwise, we're not a person. We're a phony. So we have to understand our eternal existence, because in the Bhagavad Gita it says, Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sata, ubayor api dristo natas, tvanayos tattvadarsibihi. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that what is not subject to cessation, in other words, not subject to end, is eternal. And what is subject to begin and end is temporary and not true. So Sat is what is eternal, and Asat is what is temporary. It begins and it ends. So those who are sages they concern themselves with Sat, with what is eternally true. And they avoid the contemplation of Asat, which is what is temporarily true, what is relative. Relative to what? Relative to absolute truth. So in the material world, and material philosophies are all based on relativity. One thing relative to another relative thing. They reject the existence of something absolute. Because if there's something absolute, we have to surrender to it. So in order, the materialistic ego prevents us from accepting such a concept of absoluteness or perfection. So therefore, our real goal in life is to understand our eternal relationship with Krishna, act in that relationship, and help others understand that relationship. That's what our real purpose in life is. And number 3, when the politicians, the great city halls in all the cities, and the White House and other, mansions of the politicians are all converted into temples of Krishna, and instead of talking nonsense like they do in the Lok Sabha and like in the Congress of the United States, they begin to talk Krishna Katha. That's when the whole world will be filled with ecstasy. Now, if you listen to the conversations going on in the Lok Sabha, in the Congress of the United States, in the Parliament in England, it's all nonsense. It's all depressing nonsense. But when they transform those gigantic buildings into Krishna temples and they begin to speak Hari Katha, at that point people will become happy in this world. They'll be able to make people happy. Right now they claim they want to make people happy, make America great again, this thing, that thing, but they're just creating more chaos. However, if they want to actually make people happy, they themselves should follow Krishna consciousness and they should speak Hari Katha instead of speaking political nonsense. Okay, now Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura wrote an amazing article, and he said that, and this article was all about being a guru. And he begins the article by saying the following, because the guru always sits on a more elevated seat called the Vyasa-san. Right? So he says, we have taken upon ourselves the responsibility of welcoming this grave charge, now this grave responsibility of being a guru. All the audience have accepted ordinary seats. I alone have been provided with a lofty seat. All are being told, in effect, do have a look at a big animal from the zoo gardens. In other words, he's referring to himself as a big animal from the zoo. And he's saying, what arrogance. We have to sit on a low seat. This guy is sitting on this high seat. And then he says, so look at that fool. So wicked. Have you ever seen such a big brute? Garlands of flowers have been put around his neck. What kind of phony praise is all this? What bombastic, long-drawn, and hyperbolic adjectives. Well, this is the King's English here. Hyperbolic means overinflated adjectives glorifying this person. And how complacently, too, he is listening to the praise of his own achievements, how intently, and with his own ears. He also evidently feels delighted in mind. Is he not acting in plain violation of the teaching of Mahaprabhu? Mahaprabhu means Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who said, Nadanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadishya kamaye mama janmani janmanishware bhavatat bhakti rahaitu ki tvai. I don't want nadanam, any amount of wealth. I don't want any number of followers and admirers. I don't want any victims from my sense gratification, and all I want is to be your servant, Krishna, birth after birth. In other words, I don't want liberation either. I simply want to be a servant, regardless of any advantage that I may get from doing that. I'm not interested in the advantages or the perks, as we say in English. I'm only interested in serving the Lord, and I have no desire for anything for myself. So that is called unconditional love for Krishna. So Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura is saying, here I'm sitting on this seat, I'm getting all this praise. Isn't this a violation of what Lord Chaitanya said? Also Lord Chaitanya said, Chinadapi sunichena tararapi sesna mani namanadena kirtaniya sadahari. In order to chant the holy name of the Lord, one must be more humble than the straw on the street, more tolerant than the tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. So he's saying, isn't my sitting here and getting all this praise a violation of all this teaching of Lord Chaitanya? And then he says, I happen to be one of the greatest fools. No one offers me good advice on account of my arrogance. Inasmuch as nobody condescends to instruct me, I place my case before Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he's saying, because no one is instructing me, because I'm so arrogant, I'm pretending to know everything, therefore I'm presenting my case to Lord Chaitanya. You please tell me what is right. The thought occurred to me that I would make over the charge of myself to him. In other words, I'm giving myself completely to him. Let him tell me what to do, and see what he would advise me to do. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to me, whosoever thou meetest, instruct him regarding Krishna. By my command, being Guru, deliver this land. In this thou wilt not be obstructed by the current of the world. Thou wilt have thy company once again at this place. In other words, he's quoting a verse by Lord Chaitanya, who spoke this verse 500 years ago, and he said, Yari deka tarika Krishna upadesh amara agyaya guruhana tara edesh. In other words, he said, whoever you see, tare kaha Krishna upadesh, speak to him Krishna's instructions. Tell him about Krishna's instructions. Amara agyaya guru. In this way, you become guru in the place where you are. Your Prabhudatta Desh, where you are naturally you have naturally chosen to live. In that place, you become a guru by speaking to anyone you meet there about Krishna. So this is a famous verse. Okay. Instruct everyone to follow the orders of Lord Shri Krishna as they are given in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, become a spiritual master and try to liberate everyone in this land. So this is the sublime mission of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON. Many people come, they inquire whether they have to give up their family life to join the society. But that's not our mission, to give up family life. One can remain comfortably in his position or his home. Our only request is that chant the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If one is a little literate and can read Bhagavad Gita, then read Bhagavad Gita as it is and the Srimad Bhagavatam. That is so much the better. So now, there are English translations of these books. You don't even have to learn Sanskrit or Hindi to read them, right? So everything is made easy. And these translations are authoritative. Bhagavad Gita as it is, not as I wish it was or how I want it to be, but as it is. In other words, if you read Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, then you'll come to the same conclusion that Arjuna did 5,000 years ago. His conclusion is, I should surrender completely to Krishna, give up everything else, and just serve him. Now, give up everything else. What does that mean? He just said you don't have to give up living in your family. You don't have to give up your job. You just have to accept Krishna as the guiding, and his instructions as the guiding principle of your life. And therefore, everything that you have, you transform it into Krishna's service. If you have a house, you can turn the house into a mandir for Krishna. Just like in Vrindavan, there are 5,000 temples in a small town of hardly 20,000 people. Right? How did that happen? because every house is a temple. Not only have temples, every house is a temple in that town. Okay, so this is the sublime mission of Krishna consciousness. And in other words, the main thing is chanting Hare Krishna, and by doing that, one refrains from committing sinful activities. Sinful activities are counted as 4: illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. I just gave a class in Pine Lake Junior High School, and I explained this to the kids. Half of them were gasping when I said it. The other half, not half, but another portion of the kids were all Hindu kids. Some of them were gasping also. But there were some that understood what I was saying. But no one objected about the meat eating, although many of them eat meat. Right? They had never heard before that meat eating is actually sinful. But it is. It's extremely sinful. Gopi pranita go matsara. In Sanskrit it's said that the most sinful thing is to accept milk from the cow and then kill the cow and eat it. It's the most sinful thing. It's the cause of extreme suffering in society. Violence to the cow means violence will happen to you also. That's why there's so much violence in America. There's so much violence around the world. There's so much violence in India because there's massive meat eating going on in all these different countries. Okay, especially in Muslim countries, right? There's so much meat eating going on and so much suffering. So we should see the correlation between sinful activities and suffering. The Christians talk about this, the Muslims talk about this, the Buddhists talk about this, the Hindus talk about this, but yet they're not stopping the sinful activities. It's very interesting. They're not stopping the sinful activities. Because that's a personal choice. And if you get dumbed down by materialistic education, these 4 things are glorified. In fact, one time there was Lord Jetland in England. One Vaishnava sannyasi came to see him. He had met him in India when Lord Jetland was there, and then he came to England and he met him. And Lord Jetland was talking to him, and he says, Swamiji, he said, can you make us Britishers sannyasis and Brahmins? And the sannyasi said, yes, sir. He said, tell me what we need to do. He said, we have to give up meat eating, gambling, illicit sex, and intoxication. And he started laughing. He said, Swamiji, let me give you a little reality check here. The best people from your country are coming here to learn how to do these 4 things from us. And you're asking us to give it up? That's crazy. It'll never happen. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the truth. The best people from India are coming to the West to learn from the Westerners how to eat meat, how to gamble, how to have illicit sex, and how to intoxicate. And the added icing on the cake, how to speculate about everything, including God. So it's an impossible vicious cycle called the karma cycle, which leads to the cycle of suffering. Because when we get dumbed down enough, when there's enough ajnana in our mind, we become attracted to, we have many material desires, and those material desires lead us to sinful activity, and the sinful activity leads us to karmic reactions, and the karmic reactions keeps us in the cycle of suffering. And the beginning of the suffering is subtle forms of suffering, such as mental anguish, uncontrollable material desires, bad dreams, and then they can advance to congenital diseases, financial problems, legal problems, family problems, health problems, political problems, and so forth. and after all that suffering, the proclivity or the disposition for sinful activities still is there. After all that. And that takes us into the next life where the cycle begins again. See? So unless we stop sinful activities, we can't stop the cycle of suffering. They go together. Therefore, we can stop it easily if we just accept the 4 principles of Krishna consciousness. There are 4 things we should not do, which we just explained, and there are 4 things that we should do. They're called yamas and niyamas. The 4 things we should do is chant Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. What is the meaning of the mantra? It's very simple. It means, O Srimati Radharani, the personification of Krishna's love and devotion. O Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you are full of 6 opulences. You have all beauty, all fame, all power, all knowledge, all wealth, and all renunciation. That's why we call you Krishna. Krishna means the possessor of these 6 opulences in completeness. In other words, he has them completely. And then Rama means, oh, reservoir of all pleasure. In other words, Rama exudes transcendental pleasure. And by becoming the servant of the Lord, one will always experience this ecstasy of love of God. So it said, you put these 3 words together in the mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We are addressing first Srimati Radharani. Her name is Hara, but in the vocative, that means we're speaking to her, it becomes Hare. So Hare means that we are addressing Srimati Radharani, who's the personification of Krishna's mercy. She is very merciful. You can see her hand now. It's a rosy colored hand, and she has it like this, giving her blessing to everyone. And then Krishna, and so it says, O Srimati Radharani, O Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, please protect me so I can always remain your devotee in this life and forever. So that's the meaning of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. There are other mantras you can chant. Some mantras say, oh, please give me more wealth. Oh, please give me more power. Oh, please give me health. But that's not the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is, please protect me so I can always remain your servant in spite of all obstacles in this world. So if we understand that and we chant sincerely, don't you think Krishna will protect you? Obviously he will. So therefore, simply chant Hare Krishna. Secondly, before you eat, offer your food first to Krishna. But you can only offer those things Krishna accepts. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhakta prayachati. And then number 3, and then Krishna will give you back that food after he has tasted it. He tastes it by hearing your prayers, sincere prayers of offering. And now it comes back as his prasad, his mercy. By eating Krishna prasadam, you become free of all sinful reactions, as well as chanting Hare Krishna, which frees you from all sinful reactions. Because one must be freed of all sinful reactions, or all previous karma, in order to begin the life of devotion to the Lord. One must come to the same level of purity to be able to offer service to the Lord. So one must be freed. Yesam tvantakatam papam jananam punyakarmanam te dvandra mohanir mukta bhajanti mam vrataha. One must be freed of all sinful reactions in order to begin the life of devotion to the Lord. And then number 3, regularly hear Bhagavad Gita, as you're hearing now. Why? Because our disease is regularly forgetting. In other words, goes in one ear, comes out the other ear, because there's an empty space in between the 2 ears, so it goes in and comes out. So therefore, it's necessary to continually hear this Krishna Katha. And number 4, regularly come to the temple, associate with devotees, have darshan, or let Krishna have darshan of you, and engage in acts of devotional service. Just bowing down to the Lord is devotional service. Just coming to the temple is devotional service. Or helping in the kitchen, or cleaning the dishes, or sweeping the floor, or speaking nicely to other people in the temple, telling them about Krishna. Come and do bhakti yoga, devotional service to the Lord. Hare Krishna. Shri Radha Nilamadhava ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, in this way, we surrender to the will of the Lord, and we develop this natural humility, and then we follow Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura saying, by developing this natural and profound humility, then we can become guru. Someone who teaches and preaches Krishna's message without any false assumptions about oneself. So there's a tension here. On one side, one is a disciple of a guru. In other words, one is an idiot, basically, in the presence of his guru. On the other side, one is being glorified like God by his disciples. So unless that tension is there, if one goes to this side, if the guru goes to this side, he just wants to listen to the glorification. He doesn't want to consider himself an idiot in relation to his own guru. Then he becomes a false guru. But if that tension is there, then he maintains the humility necessary to properly speak Krishna's message without any, let's say, any flights of speculation. And he gives all the credit to his guru and to Krishna. Then he's not bitten by the snake of prestige, honor, and false ego. So Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura then says, if a person is no longer attracted by the false attractions in the material world, then one can properly present Krishna's message. And he says, don't become a guru just to make money or have fame, and by doing that, you actually injure others through such malice or such false pretensions. Do not adopt the trade of a guru in order to get immersed in the filth of this world of wealth, prestige, honor, and so forth. But if you can, indeed, become a guileless servant, you will be endowed with my power. Then you need not fear. So a guileless servant means you have no other alternative other than to please the Lord. And then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, I have no fear. My Gurudev has heard this from his Gurudev, and it is for this reason that my Gurudev has accepted even such a great sinner as myself and has told me, by my command, become a guru and save this land. It is only those who have never heard these words of Lord Chaitanya who say, how odd, to listen to one's own praise. While the Guru is instructing his disciple in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and what a great sin, in their opinion. In other words, when the Guru is speaking, others are thinking, oh, he's committing a great sin by sitting there and accepting all this praise. So, in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a verse that says, Acharya mam vijanayat. Never disregard the bona fide Guru. Never entertain the idea that the Guru is your equal in any sense. These are the words of Lord Krishna himself. So, therefore, this verse in the Bhagavatam says, one should know the Acharya or the Guru as myself, and never disrespect him in any way. One should not envy him, thinking him an ordinary man, for he is the representative of all the demigods. So this verse is also quoted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and it's spoken in the 11th chapter, 17th verse, 27th verse, by Lord Krishna when he explained a question by Uddhava regarding the four social and spiritual orders of society. He was specifically instructing how a brahmachari or a celibate student should behave under the care of a spiritual master. A spiritual master is not an enjoyer of facilities offered by the disciples. He's like a parent. Without the attentive service of his parents, a child cannot grow to manhood. Similarly, without the care of the spiritual master, one cannot rise to the plane of transcendental service. The spiritual master is also called Acharya, or the transcendental professor of spiritual science. The Manu Samhita explains that what are the duties of the Acharya or Guru, describing that a bona fide spiritual master accepts the responsibility of disciples, teaches them the Vedic knowledge with all its intricacies, and gives them their second birth. The ceremony performed to initiate the disciple into the study of spiritual science is called Upaniti, or the function that brings one nearer to the spiritual master and nearer to Krishna. One who cannot be brought nearer to the spiritual master cannot have a sacred thread, and thus he is indicated to be a Sudra. The sacred thread worn on the body of a Brahmana, Kshatriya, or Vaishya is a symbol of initiation by the spiritual master. It is worth nothing if worn merely to boast of high parentage. The duty of the spiritual master is to initiate a disciple with the sacred thread ceremony, and after this samskara, or purificatory process, the spiritual master actually begins to teach the disciple about the Vedas. A person born a Sudra is not barred from such spiritual initiation, provided he is approved by the spiritual master, who is duly authorized to award the disciple the right to be a Brahmana if he finds him perfectly qualified. In the Vayu Purana, an Acharya is defined as one who knows the import of all the Vedic literatures, explains the purpose of the Vedas, abides by their rules and regulations, and teaches his disciples to act in the same way. So this is a very important verse in 11th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, and Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati mentions it because there are people who ridicule someone sitting on the high seat accepting praise from the disciples and thinking that that's a very pretentious person. But if that person is simply following the order of his guru, that is, teaching Krishna Upadesh, teaching correctly the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, then there's no false ego involved. There's no acceptance of false praise. If he does not act, this office of Gurudev has been conferred on a person, but if he does not act up to its requirements, he's doomed to perdition by reason of his offense against the holy name in the shape of disrespect toward the Guru. So there are 10 offenses against the holy name. The third offense is to not honor the spiritual master, to be offensive to the spiritual master. So the Guru teaches the mantra, the holy mantra Hare Krishna. His first initiation is called Dikshadan, and then second initiation is the Brahman thread. So instead of offering complete respect to the Guru, by disrespecting Guru, one loses the benefit of being properly instructed. So tatvidi pranipatena parapastena seva upadekshami te jnanam jnaninas tatvadarshanaha. Krishna explains how to approach the Guru with submission, with important questions, and with service. So the Guru is also mentioned to follow Gaura Chaitanya's order. By my command, become Guru and save this land. So this order has been given to every disciple by their Guru. You should also become a Guru. And there's different types of Gurus. There's Vartma Pradakshika Guru, there's Shiksha Guru, and there's Diksha Guru. We should at least become Vartma Pradakshika Guru and Shiksha Guru. That is, introducing people to Krishna for the first time, and secondly, instructing them in Bhagavad Gita by teaching them the Bhagavad Gita and giving an example of it ourselves. So one becomes an Acharya by teaching by example, rather than simply teaching with words. The words have to be backed up by example. So, therefore, Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura makes it very clear that becoming a Guru is the order of Lord Chaitanya. It's the order of every bona fide Guru, because there's no envy. The Guru is not an exclusive Guru or the only Guru. He wants every one of his disciples to become bona fide Gurus also. And as we said, there are Gurus in 360 degrees around us. There are Vartma Pradakshika Guru, there's Shiksha Guru, and there's Diksha Guru. If we only accept Diksha Guru, then we don't have 360 degrees of Guru. We have only 1/3 of it. Right? We have to accept all the bona fide Gurus equally. That is the teaching of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Adi Leela, verse 35 and 47 explains that Diksha and Shiksha Guru are equal in importance in the life of the disciple, and the disciple should not differentiate between them. He should give same respect to both. Okay, so this is a little bit of a understanding of Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura and the way he was preaching. We discussed his Drashta, Drishya, and Darshana concept, which completely defeats Mayavad and impersonalist philosophy and the false following of either Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, or Hinduism. It completely defeats it. We are not the seer. We should be the seen. When we come to the temple, we're not coming to see Krishna. We're coming so that Krishna can see us. If you come as the seer, you're coming as the enjoyer. But if you come as the seen, you are the enjoyed. And therefore you accept that the purpose of your life is to give pleasure to Krishna. You don't accept that the purpose of your life is to come and enjoy Krishna, enjoy his prasadam, enjoy everything, and then walk out and enjoy this and that outside. Like if you're the seer, if you see as I said, a cell phone 8, you want to buy it and enjoy it. But if you are the seen, then you only accept things that can be used in Krishna's service because he is the seer and I am the seen. So that adjustment of how you portray yourself will determine whether you're a devotee or a non-devotee. Initiation is to teach us to become the seen. And initiation in material life through material education is to teach you to be the seer. Therefore, you're the enjoyer. That's the difference between spiritual education and material education. Most people don't understand this. Even if they hear it, they don't understand it. Because it's ingrown into us through many, many births and deaths to be the seer. Just like a snake sees a mouse, he enjoys the mouse by killing it and eating it. Right? A bird sees a rabbit, he swoops down and grabs it and eats it. He's the seer, the rabbit is the seen. He's the seer, the snake, the mouse is the seen. However, when you accept yourself as the seen, then you only act to please Krishna. You don't act like the snake or the eagle, right? Okay, thank you very much. So now we'll have Guru Puja for Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutali Samata Bhaktivinoda Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Kurvachani Visesa Namaskar. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Guru ki jai.
Yeah, maybe I'll...
savadana mate janara prasadeba e pavatoriya jai janara Krishna prapti oyaha oite Krishna play oite Gurumukha padma vakya chitete koriya kya Gurumukha padma vakya chitete koriya kya arana koriya mane asa arana koriya mane asa Shri Guru Charane Rati Ese Utama Gati Shri Guru Charane Rati Ese Utama Gati Krishna Prapti Oyaha Oite Krishna Prapti Chakshudan dilaje janme janme Prabhu se Chakshudan dilaje janme janme Prabhu se Divye gyan ilde pokasito Divye gyan ilde pokasito Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Prema Bhakti Jaha Hoite Avidya Vinasa Jate Prema Bhakti Jaha Hoite Avidya Vinasa Jate Vede Kanchanara Charito Polo Vede Kanchanara Charito Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adana Janara Bandhu Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adana Janara Bandhu Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adana Janara Bandhu Lokanath Lokera Jivana Lokanath Lokera Jivana Ha ha Prabhu Koro Doya Deha More Padachaya Ha Prabhu Koro Doya Deha More Padachaya Ha Prabhu Koro Doya Deha More Padachaya Ebeas Kusuki Bhuvana Beyasku Sikhi Bhuvana. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gora Haribol, 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 Nitai Gora Haribol, Nitai Gora Haribol. Nitai Gora Haribol, 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 Nitai Gora Haribol, Nitai Gora Haribol, 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 Nitai Gora Haribol. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati iti namani Rama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Stop them Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nivishesa Sunyavadi Paskatya Desatarine
Prabhu, this is not a funeral. Play faster.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati iti namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati iti namine Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitagor, Hari Bol, Nitagor, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitagor, Hari Nitagor, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gora Hari Bol, Nitagor, Hari Bol, Nitagor, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitagor, Nitagor, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitagor, Hari Bol. Nitagor, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gora Hari Bol, Nitagor, Hari Bol, Tagor, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gora Hari Bol, Nitagor, Nitagor, Premanande ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Pararaj Gachasta Tarasatarashi Shri Shrimadis Divine Grace Isi Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Pararaj Gachasta Tarasatarashi Shri Shrimad His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Aranta Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Harivilas Prabhu ki jai. Prem Sakaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhaktavinda ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana ki jai. Vrindavana Dham ki jai. Mayapura Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Tulasi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Ganga Maya ki jai. Jamuna Maya ki jai. Samaveda Bhaktavinda ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Guranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Premanande Hari Bol. Now we have our Pushpanjali offering to His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakura. In a sense, he's our Parama Guru, Guru of our Guru,